Hey guys, today we're going to do a quick little tutorial on how to do sans serif letters. We're going to be following the style in my book Faith in Lettering, and just wanted to show you some of the basics on how to build out those letters, some of the problem letters that you may find challenging. So we're going to jump right in and I hope you enjoy. So first of all, if you're just starting out with this style, any style, it's good practice to do one letter at a time and study how the letters are formed. So this is an example of a font, a serif font. You can see that I did this back in 2015. And what I did was just study the letter A. And so at first I traced it onto the sheet to get a good feel for what the letter looked like and how it was formed, and then I worked on just doing it on my own without tracing it. So that is a good way to study a certain letter style. For today, whoops, I've got my windows open because it's so nice outside. I've got my book Faith in Lettering, and I'm going to be following along with this. This is kind of how I show you how to build the letter. So that's what we're going to be going off of today. So to get started, I'm going to zoom it in just a little bit so we're a little bit closer. And we're going to start with the letter A. So first things first is drawing the skeleton of the letter, the basic shape of the A. And if you've been doing lettering for any time, you know that A's can look many different ways. This is a basic way. So the next thing is that we're going to draw right alongside of it another A, trying to keep those lines as parallel as possible. And we're going to do just a slightly thinner line here. And then we're going to box it off on the bottom and the top. So once you color it in, it's a little bit hard to tell whenever it is open like that, but once you color it in, you can see the form that you've got. So right off the bat, I want this side to come out just a little bit more. So the great thing about pencil is that you can just play around with it, erase, add in a little bit more thickness wherever you want to. Now, one thing that I learned that I've noticed is a good thing to practice is that your horizontals are going to look thicker to your eye. It's just the way our eyes see things. So with a sans serif letter, typically you're gonna have uniform thickness all the way around, but with horizontal lines, your eye is going to read it as being thicker than it really is. And so you're gonna wanna make those just a little bit thinner than the vertical lines. So that it looks more uniform. So you're basically just drawing the letter and then drawing another letter next to it and then coloring it in. And then this needs to come out just a little further, like that. Now, sometimes I have trouble drawing straight lines, and if you do, you can use a little ruler to help you make those lines straighter. Now, with curved letters, let's do a C. C's can be kind of hard because they sometimes look lopsided, either top, like they're leaning over this way or this way, but try to get your basic skeleton shape as rounded and straight as possible. Straight meaning it looks like it's standing up straight. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna draw a little line here and a little line here. And then you're just going to follow that around, following the same shape that you created for your skeleton to get that that sans serif look. This is a thick sans serif. You can make it thicker if you want. You can make it a little bit thinner. Just kind of depends on what look you're going for. So some people want the edges to be really like straight and square, and then sometimes you could round them off just a little bit, more like a bubble letter. So this is one of the beauties of hand lettering, is that it's really just up to how you want to do it. Just making sure that you stay consistent with each letter in a word. So let me show you a few of the problem letters that are a little bit more difficult. An S is a really difficult one because it does tend to look lopsided one way or another, like it's leaning. So one of the best things to do is create some little pencil guides for you, just here and here, and you'll erase those. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna get your main shape in there first. So I'm going to lightly, I might have made it just a little too wide here. That looks okay. So there's my S, skeletal shape. So what you're gonna do, this is the spine right here, and you're gonna kind of split the difference whenever you are making it thicker. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in my little straight horizontal line there to show me how thick my letter is going to be. And then as I start to draw, when I get up to the spine, it's going to meet. I'm going to meet that original line that I made. And then the same thing here. I'm gonna come around, and I'm gonna try to keep it the same thickness all the way around, and then it's gonna meet up with that original line. And you may have to kind of play around with this a little bit to get it to look right. And then you would just color it in. But a lot of people will do an S, oops, like this. And then they're going to come around all the way around like this. And so you can see how it ends up making one side off center, off balance. Whoops, like this. So this would be my suggestion for how to do your S. Another one that is a little difficult is a Y, because when you draw your skeleton shape, that's basically the center of the letter. So now you want to form, because if you just added it on one side, then it would look off balance. So you're gonna want to, I guess maybe the easiest way is to draw an S, or I'm sorry, a Y over here, and then a Y on the other side. Just don't lose sight of what your original, where your original one was. And so I did this a little bit too thick to go with the other letters, but you're going to connect those tops and bottoms. Don't be afraid to erase. But yeah, this is just a teensy bit a little too thick. But that's basically how you would do it. I just brought mine out a little too far. So you'd want to gauge the distance for the thickness of how thick you want that final shape to be. And then you're gonna color that in. So I would go back in here and just trim off a little on each side, so that is a little bit more uniform with my other letters that I've already drawn. An M and a W, they're similar. Don't forget that an M is straight, usually in this kind of style. Straight here, and a W is angled. Okay, so with your M, I don't know if you'll be able to see this side, you're gonna draw right next to it. So I'm gonna come right up next to it, kind of like I did my A, and draw another M. Trying to stay parallel and uniform. You don't want one side thicker than the other. And then I'm going to just draw a line on the tops and bottoms to finish it off, and then color it in. Now, with the point right here, you might want that flat, or you might want it pointy. It's up to you. Okay. And then with the W, it is pretty much the same for this style because we want uniform thickness all the way around. So I'm going to come down, up, down, and up, all the way around. And so obviously you probably don't want to leave it with, finished with pencil. You can, but if you're wanting it to be more of a formal piece or something that you ink it in your prayer journal or something else, what I would suggest is not to color it in with pencil, but to just get that outline shape first and then go back with your pen. And right now I'm using the Micron 05. I like the 3 or the 5. Usually those are not too thick and not too thin. But so now you're going to just render out the shape of the letter once you're happy with it. And then you could color it in. You'd probably first want to erase those pencil marks and then color it in. I'm gonna do one more letter that has a curve to it because most of these are really pretty similar once you get into doing them, but a B can be a little bit more complicated too. So you want those round parts of the letter to be about the same. So one is not necessarily, the top one could be a little bit smaller if you want. So here's my basic skeleton shape here. Now we're gonna draw on the inside of this one because I drew this to be the size that I want it to be. So I don't want to go outside of the circle because then it would be bigger and a little bit too wide. So I'm coming on the inside, drawing that first line, and then we're going to come a little bit more narrow because our eye sees horizontals thicker than they really are. And we're just going to draw a little curve there on the inside of that top loop. And then we're going to come underneath the middle of it and do the same thing. Try to make them as uniform as possible. Probably just a little too thick, but. All right, and then I'm just gonna color that in. So that is how you build sans serif letters. And if you're not happy with the curves there, then you can play with it until you're happy with it. So there we go. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and are inspired to try it out yourself.